Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Where Are They Now? Tuesday night. And this is our last show of the year. I can't believe it. The last show of 2020. We have had such a blast. This is artist number 36 of
Wow.
our little season. Yeah, we've done 36 people already. And I just love every minute of this. I'm just loving talking to my friends. Some people weren't really even my friends, but people I just knew. And you know what we're doing here? We're just talking to musicians, people in the music industry, legendary people that people knew way back in the day. And we just asked them to share out their journey with us now, how they got here. Either they stayed in the industry or they changed their lane and decided to do something else. But more important is, where are they now? What are they doing now? Tonight's guest is a very special guy for me because um, he and I met probably in the late 70s, maybe.
Yeah.
He got to write a song for my band, and it was very successful in Germany. Um, he's an international artist, not just a South African artist. More than anything, he is a songwriter, and that is like all that my heart desires is songwriting, as people know. A singer, all round musical director, my friend, and sometimes my duo partner, the one and
Yeah.
only Lionel Bastos. Welcome to the show, darling.
Thank you, darling.
Ah,
So lovely
it's
to
so
be.
it's so lovely to see you. I mean that sincerely. Last time was in Cape Town a couple years ago before the madness hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm?
It was.
So
And it's
how you yes.
so brilliant
So
that you're doing this. I mean, I said to you before when we've had our WhatsApp chats, which are always nice because I know people hate voice notes, but I loved like when it clings and it says Cindy and there's a voice note. I love it.
I love voice notes because I'm always going backwards and forwards on the bloody thing to fix my mistakes when I'm typing. So I
Yeah.
love to, and I like to talk to people, you know?
Yeah. And a lot gets lost in translation when you text.
Yes. And when you're
Like,
speaking, it's like
yeah.
you're communicating.
Yeah, that's it. And
And
it's brilliant.
it's brilliant. And just seeing you now is just really special for
Yeah,
me.
and
Thank
for
you for
me.
being on the show.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for this. Um, you know what we do here. We just want to talk about your career, what you've done in this business, what you've done everywhere in your life. How are you feeling right now, right here in this space of your life? How are you feeling?
I don't know. Hey, I'm feeling like everyone else. I'm a bit
Mm,
like lost. It's
yeah.
kind of gigs are. There have been two gigs cancelled now for this week. Uh, like everything's hanging. I think for everyone. Unless you've got a job that you can do from home, like everyone else has done. I think for everyone, this is a time of like we're
Reflection.
all holding our breaths
Yeah.
collectively. I think the whole world.
Collectively.
Yeah, and also
That's
as
it.
artists, most artists, it's a very hard time. They're like 1.5 million artists just in the West.
Yes.
Um, it's yeah, it's a very strange place to be. I mean, I've loved the time off. I did love the first 3 4 months. It was it was nice not to have a schedule, not to just get up when you wanted to do your stuff. I do
Hmm.
qigong and tai chi and a thing called
Yes.
makaho, and
We must talk
just
about that.
take it easy. No, makaho is a stretch for all the meridians. The Japanese, they're 5 stretches, and
Okay.
they stretch all your meridians. It's like
I
yoga,
need
but
it.
the easy
Yeah.
version.
I like that a lot because I actually wasn't able to do a lot of yoga this year, obviously, wasn't able to do much. So I'm always looking for some new things. And I know you are very much more into the Eastern modalities of medicine, of of movement and all that stuff. And I also very much have an affinity for the Eastern way.
Yeah, just my mum. My mum was very into all the Eastern stuff. She was a very weird woman. She loved she
I
like
love that.
loved Jewish people and loved the
Okay.
Germans. So
And
it was
love the
like,
Germans.
and loved German people. And she loved all the like Eastern tea. She'd get the stuff, and my dad would always like, he wasn't overly okay with that because she was definitely like she was very up, you know, very far ahead for that
Yes.
generation,
Yes.
So she was into yoga and meditation and
Mm.
positive thinking, and she was into all that stuff long before it became, even before the word New Age came out. She was already. We had books and books, and we always had books. My mother was a reader of note,
Okay.
so yeah. So I think that's where all this stuff comes from.
It does come from somewhere. Um, I totally relate to what you just said because I think your mother and my mother would adore each other. My mother, too, was this totally different person. She was a channeling medium. She used to
Oh
do all
wow!
these sittings with people. They used to come to the house, and I was like, for me, it was normal. It wasn't a weird thing at all. But she was also very forward thinking and also talked about psychology and stuff like that. And in those days, who spoke about that stuff? It was the 50s, the 60s. It was like women must stay at home and be in the kitchen and cook.
Absolutely. I had a Jewish grand. I had a Jewish grand. My dad's mum was Granny Levy,
Okay.
my Jewish grandmother. She used to read tea leaves.
I love
She was like
it.
a fortune teller, I swear, in Mozambique.
I
So
believe it.
yeah, so it was a
But of
very kind
course,
of left of
mixed.
center upbringing.
Yeah. But also those Mozambican women, they were like shamans. They would do all this stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, we had them also in our background. My mum would talk about these things and all that. I find that stuff so fascinating. And it's a grounding. It's a hell of a different way to be brought up.
yeah, because it opens you up. You're getting taught in a normal school. We came to school in South Africa,
Yeah,
so you're getting taught the standard Western culture and the standard way
sure.
of thinking. And then on the other side, you've got these absolute lunatics who lean completely the other way. And it's amazing because my mum wasn't only she could shoot, she could sail. She used to go out
Oh,
sailing on her own on a Sunday. She was like a proper tomboy,
love it.
She could hold her own, and yet she was graceful and she
Mm,
read a lot and she
mm.
was well informed. So she was a massive influence in my life.
Well, she definitely um, she rubbed off on you, Lionel, because I know you as a person, and you very much that kind of person that is, yes, you're well read, yes, you know what's going on in the world, but you're also um, a very deep soul, a deep river, a deep canyon, and I think that's what the gift of yours, the music gift, came through all that,
Yeah,
and
because yeah, I mean,
it, you know what I'm saying.
I think the sense, I don't know, because I've never actually, I mean, when I worked like for certain record labels and I was producing certain artists, they'd ask me to write with the artist or for the artist. So, but songs have always just come to me. I've never gone, I've got to write a song about this.
That's it.
Something hits you and it just like, from when I was 12, this thing
Mm.
just downloads in your head and there's this melody and there are these lyrics. And sometimes I listen back to stuff I did even 3 years ago. Somebody says, "Oh, I found this," and I go, "It sounds alien to me because it doesn't feel like it came from me. It just." And I go, "Wow, that's quite a nice melody and a nice lyric," and I can't even
Like,
play some of this stuff. So that's what happens, and it all sounds very chouwa. But
No,
it's
I
the first
know.
song I wrote. I couldn't even play a guitar. I remember it was called Johnny Come Home. I was 9 years old, and I sang it to my parents on, I think it was Mother's Day in their flat, because we were at boarding school. My dad had come down for the holidays.
Okay.
And so, yeah, these things, they happen. I mean, I love the songs that I had to write, like you
Yes.
write a song about this and write a song
Sure.
for this person, and this is the theme. And often I'd wait until the very last moment because you got to I'm waiting for that little whisper, that kind of, here you go. But actually, we wrote
Sure.
a great song together.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we
And it
actually
also
wrote three
just
great
happened.
songs together.
Yeah. Because
So,
I've always believed, like, for those of you out there, just let me tell you that Lionel Bastos is one of the finest songwriters, not only in South Africa, but internationally. He is a magic songwriter. And to write a song with Lionel is quite something. And I have been lucky enough to have written a couple of songs with Lionel. But just to tell the people who are listening right now, let me tell you who's here, Lionel. We have people already talking to us. We've got people, it's in Neisner, Brenton on Sea having a little jaw and listening to us. We've got
oh,
Marion, who is all the way in Germany. We've got Wesley, where's Gazer? He's a
of course.
Neisner.
Hey,
Hey, Guru.
well,
Hey, Guru. He calls you Guru. And of course,
that's
Tim
my
Hill in
nickname.
the UK. Dougie Ramage, hi, darling. He's local. Tim
Hi,
Parr,
Tim.
hi. Tim Parr, Tim Hill, Wesley, Marion, Lenny's in Ireland. Gail is in Brenton, Marilyn in Brenton. They all adore you, by the way. Gail Prosser, a friend of mine. Jenny Horton, a friend of mine, all watching. Trevor Kerr, I think you know Trevor.
I do know Trevor.
Yes,
Oh,
and Michael Canfield. So just so you know, we got some people tuned in and loving the vibe.
oh,
Um,
sweet.
it's just so nice that we always do have somebody saying Summer Rain Thesna. Hello, Summer Rain. What a lovely name. So Lionel, talking about songwriting, I mean, it is as if we are a conduit,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Because
Even Keith Richards says it.
yes, okay. So I've always felt like I'm some kind of messenger. Something comes to me and I've just got to send the message out and I've got to just write it.
Yeah.
And that's that the so um, somebody asked if you wrote that Shadow of the Hillbrow Tower. No, that was Virgil Ellis, and I think I have the lyrics somewhere, but anyway. And Charles, my cousin in London, is saying hi to you. I
Hey,
want to
Sean.
ask, hey Charles. Lionel, when was the defining moment for you when you really stepped into your career? You knew, like, this is what I'm going to be doing.
Well, weirdly enough, it was. I always wanted to be a musician, but I was very, very, very shy. I mean, I still am.
I know,
It's a very weird thing,
I know.
but I just wanted that writing of the song, and then I found the recording of it and the producing, even of other artists, was just that's the biggest high you can get.
Absolutely.
And I didn't, my dad. I was very academic, and
Okay.
my grades were always amazing. So my father wanted me to be a doctor or a vet, and I can't deal with watching pain, so those were out of the question. But I wanted music, and when I wrote "Give Me Love," I was married at the time, and we had a
Yes.
child, and Ingy came down to babysit for us one day, and I was playing it when my then wife opened the door, and Ingy said, "Play me that again, put it on tape for me." So I put it on tape. And then you guys went on tour. Next thing I got, I don't know what it was. It definitely wasn't a text message.
It wasn't
This
a
wasn't.
text. It was probably a
I don't even
fax.
think there were faxes in those days. I may have got a letter. And she told me you guys were recording it in Hamburg, which is a
We
thrill.
did.
And then when I heard it, Bones had written in the letter that changed one chord from a major to a minor somewhere. I can't remember
Yes.
where. And then I heard, when I finally heard your vocal, it kind of, I cried. It was just, I thought, you know,
Oh,
this afternoon I watched the Jimmy Webb interview, and he said when he heard Glenn Campbell sing By the Time I Get to Phoenix, and
ah,
like his songs,
yes.
he wept because he thought no matter how much he was like he'd sung it, he'd never heard it expressed that well. It's kind of you. So you took that song and you made it
Oh,
your own. I mean, I don't think I've sung it since.
wow.
And you get songs like that where people take them and you made the song, you know, and that was the
Yes.
defining moment because I thought, okay, this is one of the biggest bands out there. They recorded this in Germany. It wasn't like a little, somebody there loved it. So I've got something. And then I became a commercial artist because I was
As in,
very in drawing, yeah, and a photographer. And then my sister said, just come to Cape Town. There's a guy who's running a restaurant and you can like do like a set there and just see what you can do. And I was obviously separated by then,
yes.
well, getting divorced. So I I moved to Cape Town and I went down to Steve Walsh's restaurant, which is a little Mexican place on the waterfront. And like these amazing musos would come in and jam. Robin Ald, Rob Hack,
Yes.
and then somebody heard me and said, "Oh, will you come play at Speak Easy?" Which was a big jaw at that time. It was like a restaurant that had music. And then somebody heard me there and said, "Will you come play Midnight Crawl?" And then Agent, and those were the two big venues at that point in time, kind of for solo artists. And then an agent came in and heard me and said, "Do you want to play? I've got a gig for you. It's like a solo, 4 hours a night." On the rocks in Bantry, the Ambassador Hotel, which is like it was a massive
Tops.
thing. You know? So
Right.
I went and I did a solo gig then, and then they booked me. They got me together with the bass player, and then we did one 3 month stint, and loads of people came in from all over the country to see us. And suddenly, I was booked like a year and a half ahead. I think at one point we were booked 2 years ahead. And it just, that's where it took off. It was kind of,
Yeah.
I took a chance. I came down. I did like a gig with really the most basic gear. And like, I think there's a lot of luck in this industry, you know? Kind of
Well,
who sees you, when they see you, which night
the,
they see you.
sure. And it's not so much luck, but it's the night that the day they see
Yeah,
you or whatever
yeah,
it is, because you were there, you were at the place at the moment for them to see you,
yeah,
so you'd already got yourself there. So I think it's a lot of work that we do behind the scenes that we don't even realize that we're doing.
yeah. It's those
You
ten
know,
thousand hours. Those ten
yeah,
thousand hours we've all like done before we're 16. You know, it's kind of. I used to spend hours in my room. All I did was play music and read.
that's it.
You know,
Me,
and
absolutely.
I mean, I
Cheers,
loved soccer.
everybody.
I played soccer, but yeah, yeah.
I
I've
bet.
always loved a bit of like something sporty. You know, like I like
Yeah.
long walks. I like, yeah. I like physical things that get you know
The moving of the body.
your blood. Yeah, it's as important as the moving of the soul, you know, and the moving of the
Yes.
heart. It's
Yes.
all one big thing, you know.
It's
So
it because it is all connected in some weird way. I've always felt movement in your music is movement,
yeah,
When you stand on stage, you feel something. Hey
absolutely.
Rob O'Brien is saying hola.
Oh well, hey Rob.
Woo! And Tracy Vickers. Hey
Oh
Trace,
sweet,
darling.
hey Grace.
Awesome. I want to look at some photos. We've got some really cool photos. I have never shown you a picture of my brother, have I? But if you've seen a picture of my brother, you and him are twins. It's unbelievable. So is
Oh,
that
wow.
Greg? Is that Greg Georgiadis with you?
No, that's Mandy de Freitas on the right, and
Okay.
Adelinda da Costa on the left. So they're like a
And
proper
what
porter
was that
band.
band?
We were
Porter
called
band.
the we were we were called the Boys, and we had a
Okay.
like 5 FM hit called Fire. And then Manny and I, Adelinda didn't want to go overseas. We got offered a deal with an Italian producer, and to record stuff to try and get a deal in Europe.
Yes.
And we had another guy join us.
Yeah.
I can't remember Brian's surname, but so yeah, that was at the Rosebank Hotel at Solly Saloon.
I remember Sully Saloon.
Yep.
And
And
that?
that was while we were recording the album. So Manny would have been on my left, so you're right, and Shorty we used to call him Shorty because he's short. he was on, so he would have been on keyboard on the other side,
Okay.
and we just started the stomping thing at that point. Oh, this was way before that.
Okay.
Stomping for a kick drum and smacking the
Yes.
guitar for a snare.
Yes.
Kind of that kind of try and do everything at once.
Well, the kids do it now. They've got a little loop thing. Ed Sheeran does it.
Yeah.
What's that? That's amazing guitarist Luca, that Italian guy. He plays
Oh,
all
wow,
that stuff
yeah.
on his guitar. He's like, whoa, phenomenal. And these are the Boys or somebody else? Who are these guys?
That's John Wainwright on the right. Shame he passed away. He died of cancer. And that's Martin Phillips at the back. So I then played bass for this band and sang for them. So you kept changing instruments.
You just change an instrument.
Because you were the singer, so you change instruments. So I played bass for them. I wasn't a guitarist anymore. And Martin was a ridiculous guitarist.
Okay.
He was so good. That's Vicky Sampson and I at the Winter Festival with Richard Koch conducting the Joburg Symphonic Orchestra.
Wow.
I think it was,
nice. That's nice.
And we did, I remember doing one of my songs they did an amazing arrangement of, and I did Whiter Shade of Pale.
Ooh.
And that's Wendy Oldfield and I. I produced Wendy's second solo album, and we've been in touch ever since. I mean, we've both gone through,
of course,
marriages, kids, divorces. That was one of the most amazing gigs. So Neil Solomon and I were playing the Radium, and then Paolo said, "Can I come play Perk?" So so Neil obviously said yes because Neil loves. And then in the break, Neil phoned me and said, "Pops is going to join us for the second set." And you know what the weird thing of that gig was? Is that Creason had got up and sang a song in the first set.
Oh my God.
He just pitched up at the gig, and then Neil said, "Do you want to come up and sing something?" So we did Kiss by Prince. And then Pops came up and played, and it was surreal because I think Tim Parr was on, I think it was Tim on guitar. Tim had got up to play. I can't remember. It was such a surreal moment. And Pops got up and did this thing, and suddenly, and like all of us were doing harmonies. It was an otherworldly moment. I mean, it was, you know those times on stage where you go, how
did this happen? How did it come together?
Because I mean, I'd never even met him. So I didn't know what to expect. And suddenly he started this groove. And we all just found the key, fell in. And it was like a Hollywood movie. There weren't as many chords as they pretended. Like when the guy says, "Do you know this song?" and he gets up and jams this thing that 7 million chords and the weirdest arrangement in the world. It wasn't that. It was just a nice groove,
A
like maybe two
solid
chords.
groove.
No.
Yeah. I love it. Wow. Well, I think with Pops coming in must have been quite interesting when Pops came in, because he's got such a the original instrument thing is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and I loved it because it's just so earthy and it just pulls
Yeah.
you down there, and when the groove gets going, you just sit in there and you
Yes.
wallow in this. It's amazing. It's kind of, it's like being on hallucinogenic, you know. It's kind of everything. It's such a zen thing because you can't. You've never played it before. You don't know what's happening. You got to be there and pay attention.
You just got to be there and pay attention. And it's the funniest thing, because people out there, people that are listening, they don't really know that you've just gone through what, how's this going to work? Oh my God, it's working. You know, all those emotions that we go through, and they think, oh, this is such fun, lovely. They're clapping along and having a jaw. In the meantime, we're having freaking epiphanic moments. Like, whoa!
They're like, you can't explain those moments, you know.
It's quite insane. No, but those are the ones we keep in our personal diary, you know, in our heart.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
And I bet you've had quite a few.
I've had some. That was definitely a big one. I mean, I don't have the photographs to remember. You know, I've got a brain trauma injury from an accident. So
I remember that.
sometimes I look back and I go, oh, wow, I remember that. And then all these emotions flood in, you know. So it's brilliant.
But that is brilliant, because sometimes we forget we knew.
Yeah.
And then you get reminded that you knew something. And that's when it touches the brain diary, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
The heart diary. We've got Bernie Williams. Hello, darling, Bernie.
Hey, Bernie.
Woo! Bernie and Rolf Vatterott. Rolf is the guy I tour with in Germany. Rolf is awesome. Mwah. Absolutely awesome. Wonderful. Henry Mayo.
Henry, I've got a Superman mug because you can never lie to yourself too much.
I'm glad. And I got a new mug, Marion, if you want to see. She always comments on my mugs. This is a brand new mug I got for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those Carol Boys, like, wild pictures.
Oh, brilliant.
Very interesting. Yeah, it is gorgeous, huh? So live, we were still looking at pictures. I would like to hear a song. The song that we're going to play now, the first time I heard it was when we played at Alma Cafe together.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, firstly, I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but you're such a clever songwriter. Some of your songs are poignant and beautiful and moving. And then some of those ones are those little twinky ones, which are they're so funny and they're so clever and so well written. And people don't realize it until they realize it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, Julian, would you play all this cash? Love the song. Here we go.
2, 3. I am happy, I feel safe, I feel rich, I found peace and a love that's divine, and I'm doing fine. I'm always wondering what I'm gonna do with all this cash that's mine. Well, I feel happy, I'm secure, I found love, and it's pure as a diamond shine. So I'm doing fine. Now I'm wondering what I'm gonna do with all this cash of mine. Yeah, I'm wondering what I'm gonna do with all this cash that's mine. See, I'm suddenly a millionaire. I think I'm gonna grow my hair and buy myself a new Rolls Royce. 'Cause I can buy anything out there, so maybe I don't grow my hair, but I got so much choice. 'Cause I'm rich as a king, I am richer than I've ever been at any time. Isn't life sublime? I still wonder what I'm gonna do with all this cash of mine. Now I wonder what I'm gonna do with all this cash of mine. Yeah, I wonder what I'm gonna do with all this cash of mine.
Woo! Love it. I love it. That's such a great
Thank you.
Also, Bernie says it's one of your favorite songs. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm sure.
What a great
Bernie's
song.
a
No,
country.
he's a country boy.
Bernie's a country.
He loved them country.
Yeah.
We love them country songs, baby. So, Lyle, you've written for a lot of different people. Let's
Yeah.
just drop some names, please. Let's drop the Yvonne Chaka-Chakas and the PJ Powerses and the stuff. People like to know this. They want to know who you wrote for. Who did you write for?
I wrote for Cloud, you guys. I wrote for
Yes.
Bernie. I wrote half that album, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Little Sister, Ed Jordan, PJ Powers. Actually, that song was, there's a long story behind all this cash, and that involved PJ.
Can we tell the story?
Yeah, what happened is, it was funny. I said to you earlier that I don't normally write songs like I'm going to write a song. And what happened is I wasn't going to sit down to write a song, as I was in such a bad space. PJ and I had been to Maputo with Tigger Roynett to do some gigs, and I'd played one of my Portuguese songs, and the promoter had loved it and said, record it as a duet, or, PJ said, no, she wants to record it. So I wrote an English verse for her, and we had a tour booked. And then I came back from that, and I found my then girlfriend with another guy, and live. And then I kind of, for 2 weeks, I wrote these, those heartbreak. I didn't shower, I didn't eat. Started smoking. I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. My beard grew. I wrote all this depressing stuff, and I kept going on Twitter, which is the worst place to go if you're depressed. And then all these positive
Sorry,
thinking.
I'm laughing.
So all these think positively, like what you think is what you become, and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, what a load of shit. I could never even, in my wildest dreams, I never made this happen. I never foresaw this. I could never have imagined. And then one day I just thought, after I think 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe even a month of writing like really depressing stuff, I thought, okay, just write one line, like the opposite of how you feel. Just see if it works. So I wrote, I feel happy. And then I wrote, I feel safe. And then I heard like this melody, and I thought, no, surely not. And then like all these lines. It's all made up of lines. And I'd lost the
see.
tour PJ, which was like 30 grand. The one gig we had, the regular Thursday night gig, the kitchen had burned down, so that was unbooked. The Saturday night gig, the guy had, with the new guy, because he took over the restaurant and changed the name. So it was a gig in Greenpoint. But he didn't, so he had to renew the entertainment license. So I'd lost like most of my gigs for the next few months. I found my girlfriend with another guy. It was like I was in such a state. And so I wrote these lines, and the song just came. It just like, and I was like broke. You know? So that song is exactly the opposite of how I felt at that point in time, and that's where that song comes from.
Well,
because the PJ
that, yeah.
tour was like, you know, floating. Yeah. So, yeah. And I recorded it on a phone.
Yeah.
I just did the chuk 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 like on a muted guitar.
But I could hear how when you counted it out in the beginning.
And I recorded it on.
It's so real. It's like, this is the song. It's going to be like this. You know?
So that's on one of those really nasty recorders on your laptop. And then I sang the harmony to nothing. I had nothing to tune to. And then I played the melody afterwards. And I played it and sang it and kept moving the phone so I could get the right mix of the chuk chuk chuk. So it really is a very lo-fi recording, but it worked.
It worked perfectly.
Somebody heard it, and I got the film score for a movie as a result.
See? There you go.
And then I got a whole lot of corporates. So, because it was like it was like I called it the affirmation song was the other name.
Yeah. And isn't that funny how it came out of such a dark place?
Yeah. And sometimes it does, you know. So
absolutely,
that was the PJ thing, and yeah, I mean, I can't because it's not, you know, you write for people, and
yes.
Like I wrote for Little Sister, for a guy called Jimmy Wagner, who's won lots of gold records in Luxembourg, and that I recorded a song with him and Lee Matty. I produced it and wrote it, and I recorded a whole album, and it went to #1, and it went. Germany heard it, and BMG put it on a compilation with like the Eurythmics, and there's a massive compilation called We Two Are One with like huge names. And
whoa.
Yeah, so it kind of set me up. And then when I got back, it was Gary Finch heard the production of the stuff I was doing, and I did demos for my own album. That was the deal. I'd go in and record him, and then I could use the musos to record my own stuff, and he'd put me up and feed me, and that's how I got Wendy's album. Gary said, "Will you produce Wendy Oldfield's next album?" So
which was a really, it was a good album.
Yeah, I mean, Ruby, I'm very proud of it. It didn't get the promotion it needed, but there's stuff on there that is groundbreaking, you know.
Yes.
And there's some really nice stuff.
Yeah. We've got Rita Meret from Denmark.
Hey, Rita.
Anthony, watching from Mallorca in Spain. He was with your boot on the island last year, he said.
Oh, wow.
And Catherine Ann Barker, we know her. Hello, my baby. Little cat. Just so you know, there's people here. Yeah, the funniest things that the songs come out of and how they led into, and being a songwriter, you are also steered towards TV ads. You know?
Yeah.
You've done that. You've done corporate stuffs, commercials, jingles.
I have done. I have done some of that.
Yes, you have.
I did like an Ellerene's jingle. I remember once, way back.
Yes.
I'm sure there are others. There's the DSTV thing was just a pure
That's
fluke. That
and
was, I was recording an album, and we were getting the choir in the next day because there was a song that needed a choir. And he said, "Come, I'm going on a jaw tonight because the engineers had a gig." So the artist went on the jaw, and I stayed at home. And he phoned me afterwards and he said, why didn't you come out? What have you been doing?" And I said, "I wrote a song." And I played it to him, and he said, "I've got to record that." So I said,
nice.
"Well, I mean, tomorrow is the day." So I got in the studio, changed the key 2 tones up, and two tones up. And we had the choir do it over a guide vocal of me, like an octave down, and just the guitar. And then we added everything on top of it. And then when the guy who does, John Fishlock, he's handled my publishing for
Publisher.
years.
Yes.
Yeah, so he signed me. I flew over to Germany when Polygram was still. So I signed to Polygram for 3 years as a songwriter. So I
Wow.
wrote for a whole lot of different people. And then I had my own publishing company. So then I'm still fighting to get some of those songs back. I've got some of them. And all those videos were pulled off YouTube. So if you're looking for like the real videos, they aren't there. And I played it to him and I said, "Why not can we maybe send it to DSTV and see if they..." And they loved it. They just wanted a change in the lyric, because the lyric's it's kind of dark, but it's the reason the verse is dark is because it leads you to that chorus, which is like so light and so uplifting.
Yeah.
Right. So that, and that was like, they took it for a year, then they took it for another 6 months, then another 3 months. It was a great ad when DSTV was still just running one music thing, as you know.
Yes.
So it worked for me. I mean, I'm not. It was a beautifully done ad. I mean, the edit was beautiful. So it wasn't like done for DSTV. It just turned out that it was ideal for them. You know, it was done for the artist.
Yes.
So it was done for me, and then the artist loved it, and it all just, that's what I said, like that serendipity, where everything just
absolutely
falls together.
Falls into place. And it's a funny thing about, listen, it happens to everybody. It happens to so many people. Not everybody gets it when it happens,
Yeah.
But I think because we are music people, we've got a different vibe. I think we're very sensitive. We're very empathic.
Yeah.
I think that's what helps us with our music. I know I do. I mean, I write about experiences I've had or feelings I've had, and people come to me and go, "Oh, you just wrote my story. It was exactly how I felt." And it's only because I felt that, because I know I'm not the only person in the whole wide world who's ever felt that. It's not possible,
Yeah.
Like, everybody feels stuff. It's just the writers of the world, they put it down and put it into song, and give people the memory. I always bring this up. I always mention the Dylans and the Leonard Cohens, and they were writing about what was going on socially and politically in the world, and people accepted, and Joan Baez and Joni Mitchell. They wrote about what was going on, and it was okay. Even Willie Nelson,
Yeah.
So, you've yes.
The thing is that music is, everyone used to say, "Why don't you get a real job?" But when you've got to realize that when you're on stage and people have come to engage, I mean, because we've come from before the era of cell phones and people being on their phones.
Yes.
Your therapy for that hour and a half, like all the ugliness of the world is gone, and they get transported to it. It's like a movie. It kind of moves you. So we're therapists in a way, and our songs do affect people. I remember looking for a lyric of mine, and I didn't have the album, and I couldn't remember it. It was a song called Forever. So I Googled it because I thought maybe somebody's put up Lionel Bastos lyric for that album. And then I found this lyric, and it led me to, but it was like forever didn't last that long, and then it had someone else's name. It did have me in brackets. So I went
Yes.
to a blog, and the guy had written a blog about how this song had saved him from committing suicide. And it's kind of, it's kind of, you
See,
realize that sometimes you touch people and they don't even know you. They just hear a song in the background and they go,
someone
wow,
saved my
and
life
then
tonight,
it's
sugar
kind of,
bear.
yeah, yeah. So it's weird how music works, and music's always moved me from when I was a child. I'd wake up
Absolutely.
like on holidays, I'd wake up on any morning, like a weekend morning when my mum wasn't working, there'd be classical music playing. And to this day, I love Vivaldi and Rachmaninoff and
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy who loved Rimsky, Korsakov,
Oh, I love that.
and especially like a lot of oboe concertos. And, I love that sound. It's
Yes.
so oboe and
It's
clarinet.
ingrained in us. My mother
Yeah.
was a concert pianist, so she used to play all the
Oh,
classics. So, I mean, Rachmaninoff and all that heavy stuff, and
yeah.
Rimsky, Korsakov, all that stuff, which people never even knew what I was talking about. I say, oh, but I listened to this. Um, I just want to tell you that my friend from America, Tisa Adamson, she's a songwriter, singer, and we played together a few times in the States. Nice to see you there, darling. And Rita saying she loves Clout. Thank you. Clout
Mm.
saw their time, and we did a song of Lionel's. I'll never forget it. It was a powerful song. It was a strong rock song, and I loved it. Um, you've also had experiences where you've opened for some big artists like the Bee Gees.
Yeah, that was scary. I mean,
I know, I know.
it was just so intimidating. It was a stadium gig.
Yes,
And, in those days, it wasn't by vote. The artist would hear. So, luckily, they were signed to Universal or Polygram, I think it was at the time. Might have been
yes,
Universal already. And then they'd put forward all the artists that they had, and then the Bee Gees chose me.
you.
And
I
it
love
was
it.
like we were in the middle of a tour. Creason and I were doing a combined tour, and with Moritz Lotz on guitar.
Oh,
And
yes.
so then they wanted like another artist to just, they didn't want like one thing. So Creason was singing. We were already on tour, so we were doing one of his songs. Robin Walsh came on and did one of his. And we had Concord and Kabinde on bass.
Yes, Concord, we love him.
And I think Graham Bourne on percussion, or Tonya Selly. I can't remember now. But it was the most incredible experience. It was
Yeah.
amazing. It was just phenomenal. I mean, I was musical director for Wendy, where we opened for Wet, Wet, Wet at Sun City, and that was
Yes.
amazing. It was such a big band. I think there were 8 of us.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, but the Bee Gees, I mean, it was their one gig that year, because they were
Yes.
going to do Hong Kong handing over from the British lease.
Okay.
So that was their rehearsal gig for that gig.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was a huge honor to have opened for them.
We also got that honor when I was in Zia. We were working in Paris and doing a tour in France, and somebody at their record company heard us, and they said, "Would you open for them at Bercy in Paris, which was a big sports stadium?" And we opened for them. I was very intimidated, but they stood on the side and they bloody watched us every word. They stood and watched us, and every time I turn around, I see Barry and Morris and Robin standing there watching me, and I'm like, is this real? And then realizing that this is what we live for. These are our
Yeah.
moments,
Yeah. They were so real, though. We
and
had dinner with
that's
them.
it. Yeah, we
And
also.
I remember
Yeah,
we were
very
waiting.
normal.
We were waiting backstage for sound check, and I'd been talking to Moritz in the car because I was by then starting to produce different artists. And I said to him,
Yes.
I really want to learn to write music, you know, to notate and write.
Oh,
And he said, no, don't, because you'll never compose the way you do now. He said it'll hamper you.
truth.
You know, like
Truth.
just do what you do. He said, because what you do, because he used to say to me, how do you write this? And I'd go, I don't know, it just comes, you know. And, excuse me, and
Yeah.
so we were talking about that, like beforehand. And then they were just finishing their sound check, and Barry had left. And the keyboard player called Maurice back and said, or Maurice, and said, what is the chord in that passing chord? I can't remember what song it was. And Maurice said, he looked at us because he was facing us. We were backstage. It was like there was a ramp at the back of it was at Loftus in Pretoria.
Yes.
And he said, how must I know? And he went to the keyboard and he played it. And the guy said, oh, it was something over something. And then he came out and he said, that's what it is. So it was almost like Moritz is saying, don't learn music. It was almost like, hey, these guys don't learn music either. They don't know what chords they're playing on the piano. Like, I didn't know. I mean, like, I know we're G, A, A minor, F.
Yeah, basically,
E minor,
me too.
but then,
I never learned how to read.
Yeah, I used to write, I wrote that Let It Be Love thing for South African artists against fight AIDS, which involved the PJ, Vicky Sampson, Gloria,
Yes.
Bossman.
Gloria,
It was like a massive thing. There were 16 artists. I wrote that all on piano, and there was this hell of a thing where I didn't know what I was doing, but it worked. It works. It just, it just works. If you're writing from without your ego, then it just works.
Yeah, because you're not trying to. Exactly. You're just listening to the music. I'll play a chord that I don't know what it is, but I know it sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've got that video, that song you wrote. It's a song for Haiti, but you said you wrote it for one of your kids.
My mum had passed that October, November. And then my kids were just so there, and so I just thought it was a song of thanks, it's kind of, I'll be there for you when you need me,
Yes.
And it's weird because I'd written a song for them 10 years earlier called I'll Be There For You, and this one was called I'll Be There. And it was, and then when Haiti came, we did a concert.
Okay.
So it was perfect.
I love that.
One, two, three. If you feel the sky is falling, I will shelter you. If you feel the sky is falling, I will shelter you. If you need somewhere to hide out, so the world can't get to you, I'll be there. I'll be there. If you're drowning in your sorrow, I will hold you up. If you're drowning in your sorrow, I will hold you up. When it gets too much to handle and the going gets too tough, I'll be there. I'll be there. And I'll be there to help you climb your mountain. I'll be there to come the stormy sea. I'll be there through high and low. No matter what you go through, I'll be there. I'll be there. If you're frightened of the darkness, I'll be a light for you. If you're frightened of the darkness, I'll be light for you. There is nothing I won't venture to help you make it through. I'll be there. I'll be there. And I'll be there to help you climb your mountain. I'll be there to calm your stormy sea. I'll be there through high and low. No matter what you go through, I'll be there. I'll be there. If you're feeling lost and lonely, I will walk with you. If you're feeling lost and lonely, I will walk with you. I will do my best to guide you and help you make it through. I'll be there. I'll be there. 'Cause you know I'll always love you. No matter what, that's true. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there for you. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there.
Whoa. That's a powerful song.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so
beautiful.
I mean, you can hear that at the end because I'd recorded it the day before the earthquake happened, and at the end there it said, "Because you know I'll always love you," and then it happened, and I had the track, and it was kind of, we can do something.
Perfect.
So I started putting together 2 concerts for them, and it was brilliant. The Joburg concert didn't happen because the posters got delivered too late, and the bookings were terrible. But the Cape Town concert was packed. We did it at the Baxter. We raised, I think, $38,000 for them.
Wow.
So
those kind of things are the nice things that we do as in this industry. We do a lot of those kind of things for people. You know, anytime a musician's had a hard time or something, there's a lot of empathy, as I said, a lot of giving back.
Yeah.
Do you like touring? Do you enjoy the touring process?
I love it when you're playing.
Yeah.
But
yeah. The waiting.
You know what I mean? I love the gig.
The hurry up, hurry up and wait is the pits. The absolute pits.
The waiting, all the weird stuff in between. You don't have the normal things you would have at home.
I know.
So it's kind of all the make do with this, make do with that, make do. It's kind of, that isn't so enjoyable. But the gigs, the gigging is just, it makes those few hours on stage, they just make up. I'm sure you found the same. I mean, you've had some serious, those German tours of yours, European tours.
They were hectic.
It's clout. Yeah.
In a bus, driving around, and it wasn't even a bus with a toilet. We had to stop. It was not quite those buses yet. And I remember Mike Fuller used to drive us around. He was our road manager. Poor guy, we must have given him such a hard time. He's like, I want a toilet, I need to go to the toilet. And Sandy was like, I want to stop. I need to stop. And it was like constantly, and you're not allowed to reverse, you know, on the highways there. And we got we took the wrong turn off, and he started reversing, and the cops came, and wow, wow, wow. We were like nearly arrested. Oh, it was crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, some insane moments. But yeah, touring, I mean, I love being there and the shows and being with the different people. I just love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
that's the
touring,
thing.
it is difficult. Um, you've played with so many different artists over the years. You are one of the artists, you know? You are. It's not like, oh, Lionel just does this or just does that. You are a part of the collective.
It's just music, you know. If you're
Yeah,
listening, like you play with certain people,
yeah,
like Tim Parr, you know, like
yeah,
when Tim comes on, your songs just become more magical, you know. So however good the song is, when he gets on and he plays and he harmonizes, there's just suddenly there's a different dimension, and every time it's different as Tim.
yes,
Every time it's magical, you know,
yes,
and that's the thing, you know. Like even when I play with you and with Wendy, and because you just got to listen to the song and see where
yes.
you can fit in without disturbing it,
Mm,
and
that's it.
that's the thing, because you got to let the song live, and you've just got to add like the sprinkles. The cake's already made, you know.
Yes,
You don't
yes.
have, there's no fiddling with the cake. The cake is the
No,
cake.
do not fiddle with the cake. Okay,
Absolutely, yeah.
absolutely.
And
Um,
yeah, and that's what makes those gigs special, because
yeah,
it's also very zen. It's like every night is different. Every night
yeah.
is, so you have to be there in the moment. You can't be thinking what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow, you know.
No, absolutely. And especially when you're playing with other people, I mean, you're honoring their song, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
And people
that's
forget that,
important.
you know, people like,
No,
yeah,
of
it's
course.
important not to play your chops over the person's song, you
I
know.
have been with many. The one for me is vocalists. If they're going to do a song with me, they've just got to out sing me. They've just got to. It's a thing where they're like, "Wah, wah, wah," and I just go back. I just go right back and I just sing my song and let them yell and wail away and let them do their thing. Because what am I going to say? Please stop doing that. Please stop trashing my song. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go there. Um,
Yeah. It's,
Darling, what are you working on right now? Are you working on anything?
I'm not really, no, I mean, I've written for the first time in a, because, you know, I've been playing on this mega yacht for 3 years, and
Yes,
it's kind of 5 sets a day, every day, no days off for like 4.5 months.
that's a long
And you
one.
don't really, you don't get a gap for inspiration, you know. And sometimes you do
Mm,
6 sets, so there are days
mm.
when you do 6 sets, which is like that's hard going,
It's
you
a
know.
lot. It's a lot. And you're basically
And
working as a musician. You're working as a professional musician. This is your job. You get up
yeah,
in the morning, you do your day, and you go to bed. That's it.
yeah. The thing is that you're also like on a ship, so there's
Nowhere to
breakfast is
go.
served between 8 or 7 and 9, lunches
Mm,
between 11 and 1, dinners
mm.
between 6 and 8, and it's kind of everything's scheduled for you, and you're never alone. You're never on your own. There's always someone. You can't go meditate. You can't. You know, kind of. You can be in your cabin alone, but
Okay.
there's always people walking past. There's always stuff. They're like emergency drills.
Drills. Yeah, the
Full
drills.
on,
Sure.
full on. You know, and like Christmas, you're always involved in
Yes.
the Christmas show, and there's a big theater, well, as big as a ship like that can have. It's not like those
Yes.
massive cruise liners. It's like when
Yeah.
we park next to a cruise
No,
liner, we
but
look
still,
like a mini
those.
miner next to a bus, you know. But it's still
Yeah, but
you're
they're
on the
still
job.
big ships, those yachts.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. They take, so the big liners take 3,500, 5,000, 6, and this takes 450 people. That's max. That's full,
Okay.
including guest, because you get guest artists on. You get amazing people like Tito Puente and or those
Oh,
that
wow.
caliber. You get like Grammy
Okay.
Award-winning artists on board, like famous comedians, and
That's fantastic.
Tim Rice has a contract with him, and he runs the Tim Rice show, and he comes on sometimes and watches it,
Wow.
and it's and kind of directs it.
Wow.
It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
It's not just a normal ship gig.
Mickey
I've done
Mouse
those before.
shit. Yeah.
When I was asked to do this gig, I said I don't want to do those big ships. He said, no, it's a small ship. It's kind of really classy, really, you can do your own stuff. So I do, there's three of us who sing. We've got a female percussionist, vocalist, who's amazing, and
Wonderful.
a keyboard player.
Okay.
So everyone sings, and I get to do my own songs. And actually, as a result of that, I was supposed to go to Dripping Springs Songwriters Festival this year in October, but obviously it's 2020, it didn't happen.
Okay.
But that's one of the
perks.
People who programs it is one of the guys who's a sponsor of Dripping Springs, and he said, send me an email, send me your stuff. And I was, I got booked, which is it's a big thing. It's just outside Austin, Texas.
Yes.
And
that's
so
huge.
it's kind of, you get to meet, I mean, amazing people on there, Like,
I can imagine.
really big, like,
big artists.
Big artists and big names. And Chris Tarrant was on last year for the Japan leg. Like big names come on, because it's a luxury. It's like the top luxury line in shipping, and they treat you well, they pay you well, but it's not easy.
Well, it's a job,
Yeah, so I've been writing beautiful songs this year.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but
I'm sure you're going to do something with them.
Yeah.
And if not you, somebody will.
Hopefully, yeah. Because that's always the thing, is somebody else picks it up. I mean, like I'll Be There was done by Tsepotsola with the Soweto Gospel Choir.
Yes.
And when he recorded his solo album, because he left Sankomoto, and it was, I think, also his second solo album. So I went up there and produced the backtrack and did a guide vocal for him, and then I haven't heard the finished thing, but I know that it was released, because I wrote 2 songs for him, actually.
See, all these little nuggets, these little things, these little seeds that are planted everywhere.
Yeah,
these are pieces of you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very special thing.
It's a very special thing, and Lionel, you're one of the very, very special ones that crosses over. There's lots of songwriters that will write stuff, and it just doesn't nail it, doesn't get to the heart or the soul, and your stuff gets there, and that's an important thing. It's a worth it thing. And I, as a writer myself, I always listen to songwriters. I mean, it's important for me to hear other writers. If you were sitting on your porch right now, drinking a good whiskey or whatever you would be drinking, what would you think of your life?
I'm losing you. Why am I losing you? I can't hear you.
Can't you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
No, it's all breaking up. So.
Maybe the Wi-Fi is going for a loop. We are quite over time anyway. I'm so sad to say. Can you hear me? Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. It's going to be sound like Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's definitely a Darth Vader thing. Last week we also had a little problem with our sound. Maybe we should say farewell before it starts getting really bad. Can you not hear me at all, Lionel?
Still sounding like Darth Vader on helium.
You do sound like Darth Vader on helium.
Me too.
I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Cindy.
It was just magic and magnificent, and you are an inspiration.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We've got some great people coming in January. I hope to see you soon. Thank you to the producer, Julian, and my guest, Lionel Bastos. Thank you. What's happening?
Well, the fireworks were glowing, and the planet cheered them on. A spectacular magnificence to feast our eyes upon. As the country's all excited, we're on their marks and set. Still the tears were falling into bed. The sponsors were all happy and adding to the din. The games are up and running, the medals rolling in. So torture and invasion remain an unpaid debt. Still the tears are falling into bed. Oh, we trade away the fairness and turn another page at the dawning of a full enlightened age. Light the torch of freedom, burn up any morals at this stage. Oh, the rapist's been forgiven, the killer's running free. So it's true that every nation has a certain fee, while whores are celebrating 'cause their prices have been met. Still the tears are falling into bed. Oh, we trade away compassion and hide away the shame, and then pretend that justice has been served. Forget about oppression and celebrate as if it were deserved. Oh, the bully got a handshake and praise from far and wide, and the crimes against humanity ignored as if they died. So fairness won't be winning any medals yet, and the homeless Dalai Lama is easy to forget, 'cause we're all sitting pretty, but still the tears are falling into bed. Sitting pretty, still the tears are falling into bed.